Hey there everybody, I have my LG and it is model WM2301HR. I'm going to be replacing my drain pump because my machine is not draining. I manually drained it and then started a new cycle and it was spinning just fine, but as soon as water got in it, it would not drain. And so if you need to manually drain it, there is this hose right here. All you have to do is pull it down, pull it out, and then you're able to put this in a bucket or something and drain it out. Unfortunately, mine was filled solid with dirt or something, so I'm gonna have to clean that out. Then there is this here, which you can undo just like this, and then you're able to drain your machine fully. But the problem with that is water goes everywhere, so I had to dry this off last night. This is also where your pump filter is, so you do want to clean this out regularly. I didn't do that, and I found a hair tie, a screw, a bottle cap, all kinds of stuff in there, so it was pretty gross. But now I need to replace my pump. So in order to replace the pump, the first thing we're going to do is take this top off. And so this only takes 2 screws to take off, and these are them. They're right here in the back. So it's this bottom one right here, and then same thing on this other side. So it's just those 2 screws, and then this whole top piece will be able to come off. All right, so once you undo those 2 screws in the back, all you have to do is slide this away. And so it'll slide away just like that. And then you're able to lift it up and move it out of the way. All right, so the next step is to remove this front panel. And the first thing you have to do is pull out this drawer, press this down, and it's going to release. And then you're able to set this somewhere else. And then once that's out of the way, there is 1 screw here, 1 screw here, and then 1 that is right here. And those are the 3 screws that you have to remove in order to take this off. Now, here on the inside, in order to remove this, there are a few clips. There's 1 right here and 1 right here. And these ones have to be lifted up, and this has to be pushed out. So just make sure that you do that and you don't snap any of these off. So just be aware that there are several of them. So take a look and pry those up and out. All right, so once you pry those out, this will come loose, and then you are going to have some wiring here that you need to be aware of. And so there is a disconnect right here for the wiring, and so just undo that, and then you're able to pull this out. Now I am using a small flathead screwdriver to get underneath this clip so that it is able to release just like that right there, and then you're able to pull them apart. All right, next part is going to be removing this front piece and door. And the way that we're going to do that is by removing these 5 screws on top. Down here, we have to remove these 2 screws. There's 1 down here at the bottom, and then there's also 1 right here. So sometimes there's a screw right here. Apparently I don't have one, so you have to remove that. And then behind this, once you get this out, then there is another screw in there. And then something else that we're going to have to do is we have to remove this rubber O-ring, and then we have to remove the door sensor. So there is a wire that holds this on, and so some people remove it with a screwdriver. I'm going to use the actual tool that is designed to have this removed. All right, so I like to remove the stuff that can break, and so I'm going to remove this. All right, once you get that removed, there's this screw right here. And so I'll do that now. Just a short little guy. And next, I'm going to remove that O-ring compression tool. And so this is what it looks like. And with it, you're able to get this O-ring out just like that. So just set that aside. And then you're going to want to remove this, and you just kind of pull it off there. Get it out of the way, just like that. But if you've never replaced this, now is probably a good time to do that. All right, so this is the door sensor clip that you want to remove. And so just unplug that so you don't rip the wiring out. And so that's just right in here once you move this aside. Once you get the door sensor clip undone, go ahead and take out these last 5 screws. Just pay special attention to this because it can fall. All right. Once you get those screws out, you're going to have to lift the front up to get over this clip. And there's probably one on both sides right here. So just make sure you do that in order to lift this out. All right, so once you get separated, you have to lean it out so that it can get past these clips down here. And so there's a clip right there that it has to get past. And so all you have to do is lean it outward, and you're able to do that. All right, so this is the pump itself right here, and this is what's causing all my problems. And so you have to remove this green hose and this black hose right here. So you're gonna need some pliers to undo these pipe clamps and these pressure fittings, and there may be some water still, so have a towel ready. So after you get the hoses disconnected, go ahead and remove these 2 screws here, and then all there is a clip in there that is going to be holding your pump in, as well as some wiring. So we'll take all that apart. So this is the clip. You push it down and the pump's able to slide out. All right, just move this wiring out of the way, push that clip down, and the pump should be able to slide right out, just like that. And so this was the clip that I was talking about, if you couldn't see it. All right, so this is the pump. This is the front of it. And so we're going to disconnect these 2 cables, but pay attention to the order. And so I've got my brown one on top and I got my black one on bottom because we're going to have to replace it in that order. All right, so this is my motor replacement. It's a genuine OEM part, and this is all that we are going to be replacing on this. I feel really lucky because I was able to get this overnight and I'm able to work on this the next day. So I'm going to be reinstalling it right there. I'll have a link for this in the description and as a top comment. All right, to be able to remove this white cover area, we are going to have to undo a few screws to get this to come off. And then there is a couple clips on either side that we have to get undone. All right, so here are my motors. This is my old one, this is my new one. And then you can kind of tell when you push this, it's got like some magnet, it's got some magnetism in there. And then with this one, like there's nothing. So it's pretty dirty. I do have to, at this point in time, I am going to clean out this hose drain because it is solid. Right here is where it starts. And it goes all the way to about right here. So I'm gonna get that cleaned out as well. To reinstall this cover, all you have to do is slip this in. So once you get that slipped in like that, all you have to do is push it down. And there's a couple clips right here on the edge that you're going to have to pull out and then get it to slide in. And then it'll just clip into place. And now this is good to go. All right, to remove this hose on this housing unit, because this is my drain, all you have to do is slide that off. And now I'm going to clear this out. All right, so I'm just gonna rinse this out and you can see all this gunk that is coming out. So it's like, yeah, no wonder my washing motor went bad. All right, I got the hose cleared and it looks like it was sand. So a ton of sand. And so I was finally able to get this to clear out. So it's working perfect now. All right, I pressed my hose back onto the housing here. And now I am going to reattach this motor to it. All right, when you are going to put this back together, this is the front, and you want to make sure that you have this positioned so that it is able to mount flush on the ground. You're able to clip this in and mount it flush because this will go in multiple directions and line up with your screws and everything, but just make sure that you line everything up correctly. All right, so I got this attached. It's all screwed in nice. And so now it's going to clip right in place, no problem. So before I do that, I am going to reinstall my 2 connectors here, ensuring that they are connected the same way that they came off. All right, so when you run your hose, just make sure that it is not kinked. I have mine just going right underneath that housing there. And I've got my connectors all in place and re-snugged up. So now I'm going to reattach these. All right, I've got my hoses clipped in. So make sure that they are fully seated down here and make sure I put this on a little too far. So hopefully that doesn't hurt anything. Oh God. All right, so now you can install your 2 screws here. Lock this thing back down. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is reinstall this front door. So just like when we took it out, we're gonna have to lean it back and make sure that we get it by these clips. So just like that, it's able to just sit there and then we can lean it forward and it's pretty much back in place. So we'll put our screws back in and then we're gonna get that gasket reinstalled. All right, I got my 5 screws up top done. Now I'm gonna install this one that was down at the bottom. It was this short little guy. And so I'm gonna put that in right now. All right, so next we're just gonna install this door sensor clip and then it'll just go right in the bottom right here, just like this. Push it in and it'll clip clip in place just like that. All right, so when you're installing this rubber gasket, you kind of just got to press it around and get it all in the right spot, and it will snap into place and it'll be all good. And so it'll look something like that. And then you can put this ring back on, and I like to make sure that I put this spring at the very bottom. Now, the reason I prefer to use the actual tool is because it's got these little notches right in the end, and I can just squeeze it together, and it's going to fully expand it. And it's pretty simple. I mean, once it's fully expanded, it's really easy to just put on. So almost did it one-handed. All right, once you get that installed, just make sure that it's not caught anywhere on this rubber gasket, because then that'll cause a leak. And so it looks all good. All right, now I'm just going to slip this back into place. So that's in place now. And then I saved my screw right here. And so I'm just going to pop this guy in. And now that's all installed. All right, now you have to put this back in place. So just make sure your wiring goes back through its hole. And then you're going to just set it where it needs to be. And then you just have to get these clips to snap back in. So just be careful with those. And now we are going to put these two screws back in right here. All right, once these screws are in, all you have to do is slide this thing in now next. Just give this a little press down. It'll slide right in. Now, before we put the top on, we need to make sure we reconnect all these pieces. And it should look like that when you are done. I almost forgot, before we install the top, we want to make sure that we put this screw back in right here. So I'm going to do that real quick and then put the top on. Now it is time to reinstall the top. All right, so all you have to do is slide this on and it'll sit down flush when you've got it in the right spot. And then I got those two screws in the back that I got to put back in. All right, I got my washing machine plugged back in and I've got it all set up. And so the moment of truth is going to come. Let's see if it drains or I start crying. All right, so I don't have anything in it. I'm just going to get it to start filling up with a little bit of water. All right, so water's starting to come in now. I'm going to let it do a few more squirts of water. All right, I think that's good on the water. So let's stop it, change it to drain and spin. Oh, that sounds perfect. I am so happy with that right now. Yep, it's working. Last time it never went to the spin cycle and it just made a terrible noise. So we are good.